Protections.
Due to suggestive adult themes and dialogue, this podcast is intended for adults. In other words, the truth is ugly, so we get ugly right along with it. Everything we say is out of love for ourselves, our people, and our community. Sincerely, the Green Route Podcast.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Green Route.
Woo!
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, man. Nathan just reminded me that this is season 3. Last week, I said season 2. My bad. We all make mistakes.
Let her cook. Let go with it.
Let me work. But, hey, y'all, I hope y'all had a great week. There has been a lot going on in the country, in the world, apparently in the universe. Like, NASA found out that there was some, signal that's been sent from billions of light years away. So all in all, there's been a lot of shit going on. But we here. So yeah, I hope y'all had a great week. As you can see, I have my fave, the great love of my life, the great Black Century, my guy with me. Y'all, first of all, ladies, I need y'all to calm down, because if I get one more note, message, email about him being back, don't worry, he not going nowhere. I'm not gonna piss him off. Who, me? He gonna be back. It's cool. I know y'all like to look at him, but his mind is also brilliant. So don't objectify these men and women. Do not do what's been done to us for centuries. But how you feeling?
I'm all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know what it is? It's like the end of the year is coming.
Okay.
But the industry I get a paycheck in ramps up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so it's just like
trying to make the numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
it's the Q4 push.
Yeah, exactly. So I used to love this time of year because I love just coasting for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
But now it's just, I think this is going to be my last year in this particular industry. So,
yeah.
So yeah, I'm tired, but I'm cool though. You know what I'm saying? I'm good.
Okay. So. No, I love to see it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was of course on TikTok, which millennials just do. But like there's this whole like corporate culture like TikTok scene where people sit there and talk. And I saw this one TikTok that made me laugh. And this girl was just like, yo, this is so stupid. Like, she was like, we come to work and like we put on our little outfits and we have this little language that we speak to each other and nothing actually gets done. And she was like, I got in trouble last week because somebody didn't like how I was playing pretend that day.
I mean,
I was like, when you really think about it,
it's the perfect summation of what we do at these imagination farms that we go to every day.
That's somebody, and then somebody in the comments was like, they call them roles for a reason. That's it. That's the best, most underrated comment in here. They are called roles for a reason. All right, y'all. Well, let's go on and hop into it. I got the great Black Century with us, so I don't even have to give him a bunch of backstory on what's happened with these. So
y'all know the fucking deal.
We're gonna get y'all in and out of here. All right, so real quick, let's talk about what I realized a lot of people didn't know about. So these Israeli loyalty pledges, they're also called anti-BDS. BDS stands for boycott, divestment, and sanction. These are laws that have been put into place in now 37 states around the United States. And y'all, what it really is pushback from what still is the BDS movement. And that's a pro-Palestinian movement that said, hey, as long as you continue to, subject Palestinians to occupation, to open air prison, to human rights violations, we are calling for people to boycott, divest, and sanction Israeli businesses, companies, or Israel itself until you act right. So this is the counterattack. So yeah, these laws are being implemented, and what I found out is like over 85% of Americans didn't even know about it.
No, they didn't, and it's I get it. It's the BDS movement is the anti-BDS movement is it's an attempt to undergird the resources that fuel Israel and enable them. I mean, aside from the baskets of cash that we give Israel every second.
Just a barrel we roll.
Here you go. You know, they still have to, you know, they're an economy just like any other place. And so, you know, by the public, by civilians calling for a boycott and divestment and things like that, you know, these laws are just, it's really, I don't know, man, it's really bizarre when you think about it. I mean, we know about white supremacy
right
in this country, but to see the way that shit operates when it comes to, it's weird, especially being black and in America, because we know it from inside of the storm, but to be kind of on the outside when it comes to Palestine, and see the way it works when it's not aimed at you, it's like really sickening.
Yeah.
I
had somebody tell me today, actually via comment, that black people need to stay out of this conflict because this is not our fight. And I responded, I was like, well, number one, you have to remember that when we was out in them streets, there were a whole lot of Palestinians that were out there with us, first of all. Number two, you have to remember that they was giving us the playbook on how to handle these police officers and
tear gas.
Absolutely.
Tear gas in specific.
Yes. Yep. Like, remember all them tips we were getting when these Black Lives Matter movements? We didn't come up with that shit. Palestinians were handing us the playbook saying,
like,
hey,
look,
we've dealt with this.
This is what they're going to do to y'all.
Yes.
And you know, the thing, the kind of silver lining of this, not necessarily a silver lining, but like the thing that's kind of cool about this, or the advantage, that's the word I'm looking for. The advantage of this for us and Palestinians is there really is some clarity around the playbook. And because all the shit that they're doing and saying about Palestinians is all the exact same shit they do to us.
That's it.
In the streets. You know, anytime somebody's fucking murdered for standing on the street eating a Twix, and the next thing you know, they're gunned down. And then, so all the things that they're saying about Palestinians, you know, this hospital bombing and, you know, oh, there were terrorists in the, it's the same thing as, oh, he had a gun. What do you mean he had a gun? He was sitting in his car reading a book.
That's it.
Why would he have a gun? And so the playbook is just like wide open. And so I just wish that people were a little more savvy to that algorithm. But about these laws, so what exactly is going on? Like, are companies starting to have these pledges in like contracts or what?
Yeah, so it's twofold. The number one, government contracts. So if you want to get a government contract, like some states, I think California is anything over $100,000. If you want to get some type of government contract, you are having to sign a pledge that said that you promise not to boycott Israel. Wow. You are not boycotting Israel. So that's one side. The other side of it is when it comes to public investment funds. So they have to also pledge not to invest in entities that are actively boycotting, sanctioning, or divesting from Israel.
Oh, wow. So that affects the resources you can get.
There you go.
Okay.
So the reason I even heard about this back in 2000, I believe it was 2018, was because there was I believe it was an elementary school age speech pathologist, actually here in Texas, who was up for a contract with a school district. She was asked to sign this pledge as part of her paperwork. And she, you know, of course, but like most of us are just signing shit, right? We don't really know.
Yeah.
But she actually reads through it and was like, yo, what the fuck is this? I don't like this. Refused to sign it and actually had her contract pulled because she refused. Now, when it came down to it, she was, in fact, going to be getting state money because of the contract that she was going to be signing. She was going to be a state contractor. And I don't know if it has that same $100,000 like threshold that California has here in Texas. But she had her contract X'd pretty much because she refused to say that I'm getting on board with this anti-BDS pledge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, really in the 37 states, that's the way it's been working. And what's crazy is when I started looking it up before we recorded, I'm watching like clips of Benjamin Netanyahu, like, oh yeah, we already got 30 states under our belt in the United States. Like, he's like waving it around, like, yeah, I got you, ho. And then like on all of the like anti-defamation, league website, like Jewish Times, all of this, they are literally, hey, we got another one. We got another one. We got Nebraska to do it. We got Maine to do it. And they are racking them up. And so I'm literally watching this, not only the baskets of money that we hand right for aid, but then there is another vehicle now to ensure that wealth is continued regardless of how the people on the other side.
It's like bulletproof whiteness.
Oh my God, that is the best way I've heard it put.
Because
yes,
whiteness here still has the privilege of it has the privilege of whiteness void of trauma. But the story of Israel, and I don't necessarily like bringing Judaism. I don't like even bringing it up when I talk about Palestine, because this shit is not about Judaism. No. This shit is Zionism.
Yes.
But what they're doing is they're hiding behind the trauma of what happened to people of Jewish descent.
That's it.
But this shit is about land, money, and whiteness. That is it.
Because there have been Jews who have come out again, saying, not in my name, not in our God's name. Exactly. They are coming out like, hey, I'm not a Zionist. I'm an anti-Zionist.
There are whole organizations that have been around for a long time that are, Jews against occupation. And so, it's not, we should consider how we even speak about it. It's not a fucking conflict.
Yep.
It's not a war. This shit is an occupation, like, full stop.
Yeah.
But for the political tactic of Zionism, and to have that bulletproof shield of, hey, we had a Holocaust.
Yeah.
And, when I saw that Mark Lamont Hill was let go of at CNN.
Yeah.
Just because he said free Palestine.
That's it.
And they came out and said that he was anti-Semitic, even though he hadn't said anything about, he wasn't calling. They were like, well, that was dog whistle. And so it's just like a bulletproof thing.
That's it. And, have you seen what's happening at Harvard? Students getting their job offers rescinded because, so one of the big Harvard donors came out and was like, hey, give me the names of all of these kids who are tweeting messages and posting things about free Palestine, because I'm going to make sure that they cannot get hired. And so, you talk about like bulletproof, but also the influence and the power that these people have to impact. This is why, like, you see the LeBron James and Mavericks coming out with the statements.
That was so fucking disappointing.
When it's something that I'm sure they don't even understand the historical context of it.
They don't.
But because their camp is probably run by people who can, kind of like Kanye, remove $1 billion worth of wealth within a week, let me go on and put this statement out to protect me and mine.
Do you know how goofy you fucking look to be at the forefront of the Black American struggle against oppression, and then come out in support of Israel? Anyway, I know we got to move on. I'm gonna control this clock down here with my foot.
Not a toe. It's a toe, y'all.
It's a toe.
It's nimble.
But it's my iPad, so
He played ball for a long time, so there's a lot of like muscle control going on.
Listen,
here.
Man,
I'm actually really impressed.
Talented brother.
I'm actually really impressed. So yeah, y'all, if y'all want to learn more about what's going on with those laws, just Google anti-BDS. Again, BDS stands for boycott, divest, and sanction. And there are still states that have pending laws, either through trying to pass them through their state Congress or by executive order. So it is something that we should all know about. It's not a quick read, but it's something you should certainly know about, especially if you're interested in being a contractor or you are part of a public investment fund, because it may make some decisions on where you're putting your money. It may help you make some decisions. All right, yo. So let's talk about what big oil has been doing in the last month. So number one, we've probably all been, hearing that our dealers overseas, right, have cut our supplies, and so there's been a lot more drilling. either stateside or, in other countries that hadn't said they were cutting our supplies like Saudi Arabia did. So what's crazy though is that a lot of these big corporations are cash heavy. So they're trying to find ways to invest their money. They're trying to find somewhere to stash their money. Exxon had a huge, I believe, $64.5 billion acquisition just a few weeks ago. And then this week, Monday, I believe, Chevron announced that they were going to be buying Hess Corporation for $53 billion. What's interesting about this to me, though, is all of the other things that they could be doing with those profits. Clean energy.
No.
Like you said earlier, paying people more, fair wages, helping to lower the cost of energy for people because, like, I don't know if y'all been seeing it at the pump, but them gas prices are creeping back up. We could be doing some R&D, right, on some type of energy that lowers with lower carbon emissions. But instead, they invested in Hess Corporation, which is the number, I believe, 2 producer in South America. And so it goes to show that, like, y'all are not actually interested in any of the things I just listed. Y'all talk about lowering carbon emissions and clean energy. And instead of putting $53 billion into those things, you went and bought another fucking place to pump.
Them niggas want boats. Them niggas want to buy boats.
Yachts.
They want boats.
Do you think they want their names on the side of them?
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
And not like a sticker, you know what I mean? Like, I need you to like etch mine in there.
They want to buy enough boats that they could arrange the boats to spell their name in the ocean. And then buy a helicopter to
Donald. And then buy a helicopter to,
that's what they really want.
Go take a photo of my boats.
Boats in a configuration of my name.
It's just crazy to me.
I think the biggest and we just don't have the sort of government that could ever require that these companies do. But that amount of money and the amount of R&D that could be going on into clean energy.
Yes.
Like, we really could solve a lot of our problem by in the next 2 or 3 years. If they were just to pour just a fraction of that amount of money into developing clean energy, but that's not what they're.
Well, and what's crazy is I don't even think they're trying to hide it, because in the statement, right, like the CEO was like, yeah, this whole thing is to, number one, expand our reach, but number two, create more value for the shareholders. What? Like, y'all just did a big ass stock buyback, which at one point, by the way, y'all, was against the law. It was against the law because the government saw that what companies were doing with stock buybacks was literally manipulating the market, right? And then what happened was some random entered the congressional scene who was lobbied, right, by a lot of these big companies, was like, hey, I need you to overturn that stock buyback law and let us do our thing. What happened after that, and you'll notice this, especially if you work in corporate, your big executives, your high up executives, and your board of directors, their compensation is usually tied to the stock price. So when you think about stock buybacks, what that will usually do is push up the price of the stock by pulling more of it internally and making the stock worth more because there's less of it out there running around. God damn. So it's crazy that like something that was supposed to protect the people got overturned, and now it's hurting the people again, and no one even looks to say, hey, you just did $75 billion in stock buybacks. And not only are you not doing that, but then you're like, wait, you're supposed to be lowering your carbon emissions. And instead of doing that, you're investing in more crude.
They're like, huh?
I'm designing my boat. Like,
count his money.
I don't understand it. I think do you have to be a psychopath to get that high up?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because I think if you're not, you're just not going to be informed about how to move in those ways. You got to be able to do awful shit and then go to bed at night.
Yeah.
That's the baseline metric of can you climb to the top of these companies. Disgusted.
Last month, Chevron announced a $75 billion stock buyback program. By the way, this entire Hess Corporation deal is in stock. The whole thing is in stop. It's disgusting
Jesus.
on so many levels. And yet I'm gonna be honest, like nothing will come of it. And then we got GM, right? We got Stellantis, we got who's the other one there? And Ford. Right? We got the big three who are making record profits, but are telling the union, we can't afford to give you a 30% raise.
So going back to the source of all this is all because Russia invaded Ukraine?
So
that crude prices went up?
Part of it. So it's kind of threefold. So Russia invaded Ukraine, yes, but then also remember Saudi Arabia told us that they were going to lower their production. So they weren't going to be sending us as much.
Okay.
And so really drilling here had to increase to quote unquote meet the demand.
Gotcha.
So yeah, like it.
Okay.
It's kind of threefold.
Okay.
So I think the Russia invading Ukraine was kind of the catalyst.
Okay.
And then Saudi Arabia was like, yo, we got to pull back on your, on what we exporting to you. And so then Biden actually had to approve more drilling licenses and like okay more of that. So he's
always loved that shit, man. I remember when he ran the very first time when Barack was running too. He couldn't wait to talk about offshore drilling.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open them up, and everybody was just like,
why?
Yeah, but let's not.
Yeah.
And he was just like, no, I think we should. Like he couldn't wait to fucking open that shit up for these companies.
And the thing is, like, he talks about like clean energy. He talks about we're gonna green jobs and all it is, but these numbers don't lie, Biden. These numbers don't lie. When you're only putting $10 billion, maybe $10 billion into your R&D for clean energy, but we watch you do a $75 billion buyback, and then you go and spend $56 or $53 billion on a crude oil producer, like, your money is telling us where your priorities are.
Do you know what's his grade kind of like when it comes to environmental stuff compared to Obama? Like, is it about the same or?
Okay, I can't say. I'm actually probably gonna say it's a little worse because
that's what I'm thinking.
Like
I haven't read the shit, but it feels like it's worse.
What's the Alaska project? What's the name of it? That he was supposed to be shutting down and then ended up, giving the okay to. What is it called? It's a. I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah, the Alaska pipeline, but I can't remember the name.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like,
because the indigenous folks were like, please don't do that to our territory.
You were overturning like EPA policy about protecting our waterways and protecting our drinking water. Like, you are allowing us to literally be poisoned by the very land that indigenous people have been telling us forever, please protect this land. Please take care of it because it takes care of us. And they just don't hear it. They do not. They don't hear it. And then you wonder why everybody's fucking, well, maybe it's by design though.
Yeah. I will also say that, with what's going on in with the occupation of Palestine now, I went back to, because I was just thinking about like, all these U.S. presidents that have gotten it wrong all these years. And I went back and I was looking for receipts on U.S. presidents. And I got to say, man, Jimmy Carter was not the most popular president. And I think he wasn't the most popular president is because he told the most truth. Like, he fucking went on TV in the 70s and was like, y'all niggas buying way too much shit. Y'all want shit that y'all ain't got room for or money for. Like, he, as a U.S. president, went on TV and talked about moderation.
Called us out for being consumers.
And that is not what America was like, what?
I love it.
And so even on Palestine, man, like, Jimmy Carter was just like, he talked about the occupation. And so, and he was, I think he was the first president to put solar panels on the White House. Okay. Which fucking Ronald Reagan came in and took the fuck down. Of course.
I could draw so much shit back to Ronald Reagan's bullshit.
Yeah. But Jimmy, but if you looking for any glimmer of hope,
okay,
peanut farmer from Georgia, man. I met Jimmy Carter is the only president I ever met.
Yep.
2014.
I remember that. Yeah.
You remember. I met him in Oak Cliff, fucking Texas, on the south side of
Building
Dallas.
some houses.
Build some houses. There's one house in Oak Cliff. He was 90 when he came, and the advance team was like, "Look, this nigga's gonna come down here and try to get on the ladder. He can't get on the ladder, y'all."
Mm-hmm.
So there's one house in Oak Cliff that he was working on. The house is on. There are no steps that lead up to the porch, but for some reason, this one house has handrails. Jimmy Carter put those handrails in.
Love that.
Because we had to lie to him and tell, we just need these handrails in.
Give him something to do.
And so, man, if you're looking for a guiding light on a lot of stuff, just be like, what was Jimmy Carter's position on this?
And it's crazy. I was having a whole conversation today about what is being put before us for our next presidential candidates, right? This is what we got. This is the best of us. And it like we were kind of talking in the comments, like, it really almost makes you feel hopeless because we know that's not the best of us.
Mm-hmm.
We know for a fact that there are people amongst us who are better. We may see them in everyday life, but those people will never have a chance because of how politics works in this country. Mm-hmm. So it is always nice to know that we got to have a Jimmy Carter, and it kind of gives me hope that maybe there is another.
There could be another.
Yeah.
AOC was she not 35 yet.
Yeah.
But we'll see what she we'll see what she sounds like once she turns 35. Because the other thing about US politics is that people evolve into sometimes things that you don't recognize. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Well, and there's a strategy around probably trying to get her to evolve, right?
Yes.
Because she already has this big following. I mean, hell, I'm part of her following. Mm-hmm. So yeah. All right, you ready to hop to the next one?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, so y'all, we're going back to Israel, but more so on the media side. So there has been a lot of discussion around media coverage of this, specifically mainstream media. And I'm not going to even say specifically mainstream because there are even some creators who started on social media, right? Mm-hmm. They built their platform on social media who have completely gotten it wrong. I'm not going to even name one of the creators, and you should know who I'm talking about by that. But they've completely gotten it wrong. But there are a couple
Most
platforms.
Media outlets are getting it wrong.
100%. But there are a couple platforms, and I actually did a video on this yesterday that I check on every day because this didn't just start on October 7th, them getting it right. They've been doing this for years. So if you don't watch Democracy Now!, if you don't read Al Jazeera, if you don't NPR is kind of meh, but sometimes they do an okay job. But those first two.
Democracy Now! And Al Jazeera are kind of my foundational news sources. If I see something and I'm like, let me see what either one of these organizations says about it.
Usually that's how I know if I'm on the right side of something. Mm-hmm. I'll develop my own thoughts and opinions first, and then I'll go check with Amy Goodman.
Yeah, you can calibrate. You can calibrate. Mm-hmm. Your understanding of it based off of what those two media organizations are doing or covering at the time.
Yeah, 100%. So y'all, the story around this is Al Jazeera, again, one of those platforms that didn't just start getting it right on October 7th. They've been on the right side of this. Israel is thinking about kicking them out, their operation out of the state because of their coverage on this. Mm-hmm. The officials in Israel called them pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, and said that because of their rhetoric, right, because of the way that they've been covering these stories, that, they've pretty much got to go. You sent me a really good video today. Was it Angela Rye?
Amanda Seals.
Amanda Seals.
Yeah. She pointed out the difference between Al Jazeera's coverage versus... what was the other one? CNN?
It was CNN, I believe. Yeah. And it was about the hostage that got released.
It was about the elderly Israeli woman who was taken hostage by Hamas. And she was basically recounting her experience while she was held captive. Mm-hmm. And Amanda Seals made note of the differences in the way both of these organizations, media outlets covered the same exact story.
That's it.
And so CNN basically just covered all the scary shit.
Because their headline was like, Israeli hostage says her experience was hell.
Exactly.
That was, and matter of fact, NPR ran that same headline, which made me kind of look at them like,
yep.
What are y'all doing?
Yeah, what y'all doing?
So
they CNN, there was a video clip of the woman who was taken captive and her daughter who was sitting there translating, and if you're kidnapped, shit is going to be traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first part was, of course, very traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
The elderly woman talked about the rush of people that came in to abduct them. She talked about being put on a motorcycle and speeding into the night and how dangerous it was. Somebody got beat over the head with something.
Yep.
And then CNN cut the clip there.
I think they let her talk about the tunnel. There's a
network of tunnels.
Network of tunnels. It looks like a spider web, and that's really all you got.
They basically just went through the portion that made any opposition to the Israeli occupation sound really fucking spooky. And then they just cut it there. Al Jazeera took the entire clip.
That part and
yep. Because there's also footage of the moment that this woman was released, shaking
her captor's hand.
This woman, this little sweet elderly Israeli woman.
Yes.
There's pictures of her there are videos of her being released into the night from her captives, who we believe to be Hamas, ski masked up, chopper across the body.
Yep.
And she turns around and they shake hands. And then she goes about her way. So there's that. And then you fast forward to these media outlets questioning this woman about her, her recounting her experience. And, she talks about once they got to where they were going into this tunnel, they all received medical care.
That's it.
She said they were very nice to us. They fed us.
We ate the same food that Hamas ate. They said they were very, very careful about sanitation, making sure everything was sanitary so they didn't get sick.
There was a man who was injured during the actual abduction, a captive who was injured. They gave him medical care. And so then they asked her, some news outlet asked her, why did you shake your captive's hand before you left?
That was my favorite part.
She was like, they were very nice to us.
They were very good to us. They were very sweet. And she said that when they got there, the captor said, we're Muslims. We're not going to hurt you. That's not what we're here for.
And so again, this flies directly in the face of these are bloodthirsty.
That's it.
What did the Israeli Minister of Defense call them?
Human animals.
Human animals.
But that's that playbook you talk about, because that's how they dehumanize us to justify how we're treated. 100%.
Exactly. So they're not going to show that part of this. Unfortunately, this woman is caught. This woman is bearing the brunt of the repercussions of what the state of Israel is doing to Palestinian people. But they're not going to play the footage of her saying like they were actually really nice.
Yeah.
And because then it's going to lend like, oh, why would they be nice? Oh, maybe because this isn't about them just hating
there you go.
Israelis and Jews. Maybe it's because they're honestly rebelling against an unfair and illegal occupation.
There you go.
And so yeah, because of Al Jazeera covering the full story, Israel is considered, like you said, banning Al Jazeera from reporting on Israel.
And can you imagine? Like, these are not opinions that Al Jazeera is putting out, right? These are just facts that they are putting out. It's not commentary.
Just the full story.
That's it.
Just the full story.
The only thing that these people can say is like, but let's also remember that yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, there was a UN meeting in New York where the UN Secretary General, he ruffled some Israeli feathers.
He did.
He specifically said that what happened on October 7th, the Hamas attack, did not happen in a vacuum. He said this is the result of 56 or 57 years.
Yeah, because he's talking about since 1967.
Yes.
Which was the second. It wasn't the
that happened in 40.
the Nakba happened in 48.
48,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
So he's I mean, and yeah, he could have went back even further, right?
Mhm.
But he said for 56, 57 years, these people have been subjected to a terrible occupation, right?
Yep.
This, like, pretty much what he was saying was like, you've been slapping these people across the face for decades now, and they finally retaliated.
And it's important. I was trying to think, because I know a lot of Black people that reached out to me just to try to understand what's going on. Because it is murky if you don't follow it.
Yes.
But once you learn the history, you're just like, oh, this is very clear cut.
It's easy.
There's no two sides. But
there you go.
It was always important that to get people to understand, especially, Black people that reached out to me, to understand the level of daily assault that Palestinians live under. It would be like 1921 Black Wall Street, Tulsa massacre.
You minding your business
every day.
Yeah,
I'm talking about every day. There are children who are just shot down on the street and so that's what's going on a daily basis. And so it's not just like Palestinian rebels just decide to just strike out at the state of Israel. And so, by the UN, what's his position?
He's the Secretary General.
Secretary General of the UN saying that, of course, they put up that bulletproof shield. They were like, that's anti-Semitic.
Yep.
And now haven't they asked for him to step down?
Not only that, but to teach them a lesson. And I put that in quotes because this is what the Israeli UN ambassador said. To teach the UN a lesson, we are going to revoke or completely deny visas of UN representatives trying to get into Israel.
That's right.
Like, not only do we want him out for for telling us the truth, right? For telling us the truth, we want him to resign. But now you can't even come up in here to teach you a lesson. The level of privilege is beyond me. It's beyond me. So you're trying to kick Al Jazeera out for telling the truth. And now the UN Secretary General, who sat there amongst other representatives from other countries. If you did not watch the discussion yesterday, the UN discussion, go to YouTube, look it up because it was fantastic.
Who's that Black woman? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our ambassador?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
what the fuck is she
where's
doing?
her fucking backbone is what I want to know.
God damn.
Like, I get it. You got a job, lady. They paying you a shit ton of money, but you really sat here and shot down, no pun intended, 2 ceasefires. Because the first one they said didn't say enough about they wanted to let diplomacy play out on the ground. The second one didn't do enough to state Israel's right to defend themselves. Just say what you really want to say.
If you are a Black person who is representing the United States, I don't know how you're sleeping, because to go in there and to vote against, because then they vote for humanitarian aid, but not a ceasefire. So like, people are ducking bombs while getting water.
So that was the goal. Both ceasefires, the whole goal was like, let's put a pause on this so that we can get humanitarian aid into Gaza. That was the whole goal. It wasn't that y'all can't, let's get our civilians out and then y'all can fight amongst yourselves. Like, the whole goal was, we can't get shit across this border because of these like massive attacks on Gaza, but also because the Israeli government is blocking these aid trucks from coming. I think it's the Rafah passage that they're trying to get these aid trucks through across the Egyptian border, and the Israeli government is pretty much pausing them. Like, no, I'll let 5 through. There's 20 more waiting. I'll let 2 through.
Yeah.
There's still another 27 waiting. And I mean, it's a drop in the bucket in what these people need. When it comes to what these people need, they're out of fuel. Hospitals had to shut down their power today and use cell phone lights apparently to see what they're doing.
I fully believe that their intention was to just take all of Gaza. They are ready for that part. They're ready to just close that chapter. I feel like they're obliterating it so they can just absorb. They can clean it up.
That's what it feels like.
Absorb it, and then they don't really give a shit about where Gazans or Palestinians will go.
That's exactly what it feels like.
All they'll have left is the West Bank, and then
even that's being
they'll turn their attention to that next.
Because the same place they told these folks in Gaza to go, they were like, go south, right?
Now they're targeting the South.
And now they're targeting places in the South that you told these people to go to seek refuge. The UN calling Israel out on their human rights violations, as well as what we now know, and the UN has called potential war crimes, means that they can no longer go into that country. And I put that in quotes as well.
Yeah,
someone telling the truth means that you got to shut down your news operation.
Just look at the irony of this state becoming this and hiding behind what the Jewish people have been through, and that playbook that the fucking Nazis used. It's breathtaking. It's like you literally just have to fucking sit down, because it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Like, and again, the Holocaust there's still people here that fucking survived it. And so for, not even maybe a generation later, is breathtaking. But yeah, the biggest, one of the big moves that Hitler did was controlling the media. And so by Israel trying to kick out Al Jazeera, like, that's big Hitler energy. You know what I'm saying?
That we need signs. You giving big Hitler energy. Shit.
All right, let's move on.
All right, y'all. So let's real quick hit on this this pilot. And it ain't even really political like that, to be honest. I just want to know, like, where's your mind at, my boy? So there was an off-duty pilot who was on a passenger plane, and he was apparently seated in the cockpit jump seat.
Yep.
Jump seat in the cockpit.
So he's just riding along.
He's just trying to go where he going. Like, we see, flight attendants, pilots do this all the time if you fly, right? So most of us don't think anything of it. If I see an off-duty pilot, like, I actually feel a little safer, because if something happened to that guy, we got this guy.
If he fall out, he could just jump in.
That's right.
He on the bench.
I love it.
Yeah.
So apparently they're, on their way from Washington to California, I believe. And while he is sitting there, he decides to pull like a fire. It wasn't an alarm, but like a fire switch, right? That he knows as a pilot will shut down the engines. Now, of course, I don't know if the pilot alerts the crew. I don't know how they figure out that this man is trying to like maneuver like this, right? But somehow the crew gets to him, holds him down, handcuffs him to a seat in the back of the plane until they're able to land. When they land, the dude tells air traffic control not air traffic control, the FAA, that he didn't plan on landing. Not
a soft landing.
And what? Oh, and that he's a broken man. I'm just trying to figure out, like, is it me or has the world gone batshit crazy?
Listen, this all goes back to the cliche, which I hate that it's true, but I mean, of like, niggas don't go to therapy. And so rather than him figuring out or confronting whatever the fuck is wrong with him, he's going to take you and your rich auntie
83.
who's on this. Head first into a mountain, or whoever else is on the ground.
Yeah.
I also wonder where does it fall in terms of, because I didn't see, have you seen how long he had been a pilot? Or
no, I hadn't, but I can probably look it up real quick.
Because I just wonder, like, is this something that developed? Like, what's pilot life like now? Like, because I know there was a thing a while ago about pilots being overworked and things like that. But I'm just wondering where all of that falls in a story like this. And then what is what's the plan for mental health?
Yes.
And not even just in this industry, but like every industry.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that I'm not really sure that any place of employment has an actual plan when their employees suffer some sort of mental break or just need some sort of rest. And so but for him to say he's a broken man and he was just gonna kill everybody on this flight.
Yeah.
Nigga.
But I think you bring up a really good point that, you know, so we've seen pilots even be on strike here in Dallas, right? We've seen the Southwest pilots, you know, strike at Love Field,
right?
You know, because of their work hours and the routes that they're expected to take and the pay, right, that they're expected to take with these crazy work hours and routes.
Yeah.
And so you think about it, like when you have people's lives in your hands, you would imagine that these companies that employ, or these, not always companies, right? Sometimes they are like state or federal agencies that employ people who literally have the health and wellness of other people in their hands. And there is very little being done to help them deal with the stress, you know, potential issues when it comes to like quality of life. Cost of living is getting trashed for everybody.
Yep.
Like I saw in California that there was a fund set aside to make sure that police officers, firemen, like first responders had access to mental health care. And I'm just like, okay, that's a first step. Sure. 100%. So I really don't know though if that'll ever happen, because that means money.
Yep.
That means that I'm taking from the shareholders, right? But what they really don't understand is that when you invest in things like that, things like this are less likely to happen.
Yeah.
Which means that you're probably protecting your brand, protecting your share price, protecting your employee turnover, your customer retention by making an investment up front in the things that take care of the people who spend money with your brand.
Not interested.
Not at all, because it's too abstract and it takes too long.
Right.
I want mine right now.
There's no guarantee of return of this.
Yeah.
If I can't see it or hold it or count it.
That's it. I need an ROI like tomorrow.
Then it's not worth it.
That's it. So yeah, I also think that mental health, the same way that, like, you know, dental insurance is a thing, right? Which I just don't understand why that's just not part of healthcare insurance, because my teeth are part of my body.
Right.
But at what point as a country are we going to say, like, hey, like, you companies need to start covering like mental health? Like, we know that there is an epidemic in this country where we are all, and I don't care how good you think you are, I don't care how much you working out and you in that gym, all of us need to go check in every once in a while.
Yep.
All of us. Like, because the way this shit is going, how much we are exposed to every day.
Well, and not to mention, you know, this fucking flight crew that had to hold him down until they landed.
They need somebody to talk to too.
Now they need somebody to talk to.
Yeah. It was an Alaska Airlines flight. So yeah, he's part of the one of the big commercial, you know what I mean? It's not like he was on a private jet somewhere. This is crazy, y'all. I will say this. If you have a company that offers, you know, resources for mental health, please take it. I've seen a lot of women talk about going to therapy. I'm starting to see a lot of men talk about it. So I do appreciate that, because I think for far too long, you know, the world has told men, oh, suck that shit up, boys don't cry. And so we have a lot of men around here who have been emotionally constipated for far too long. And so if your company, or if you have some type of insurance that allows you to go do a check-in, I did a check-in when my mom was sick. Like, I started going, and the lady was just like, hey, I don't need to see you every week, but every other week, just based on what's going on in your life right now, come to me every other week. She was like, because right now you're in that pre-mourning phase, and people don't realize that, like, watching someone fade away is a real thing.
Yeah.
And she was so honest with me. She was like, but you're not in a crisis. She was like, so I don't need to see you every day. I don't need to see you every week. Come see me every other week.
Check-in shit.
And then after the funeral, she was like, still come see me every other. Well, we were COVID hit, right? So we were remote. But then it turned into, okay, you seem to be doing better. Let's do once a month.
Right.
And I had a very honest therapist who was just like, you're not in a crisis, but I do want to see you for these reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. And then once she decided I was ready to graduate right from therapy, she was like, cool, let's do it the same way you do like a physical.
Yeah.
Come see me once a year. We'll make sure everything is good. We'll talk through what's going on in your life. If I feel like we need to do every month, we'll set that up. But for now, I'm on like a once a year check-in, right? Unless I have some type of crisis. So y'all, it really ain't nothing to just, especially if you have the insurance, just go check in. And on top of that, like there are other things that, I don't know about you, but as I'm getting older, I'm starting to feel like the other things that, like if I'm too dehydrated, if I'm not working out, if I'm eating like trash, all of that affects my mental health.
1,000%.
All of that affects me, my stress levels, all of that. And so I'm really trying to do a better job to make sure that like doing shit like this where we're focused on the news cycle, which is always stressful, is not like fucking me up personally. Right. So yeah, y'all, please take care of yourselves, because I never want nobody to get to the point where they like, I'm not only taking myself out, but I'm going to take 83
I'm going to take y'all too. How do you feel mentally? You feel great? Well, I don't.
Can you imagine?
So you going with me?
What you tell me earlier? Like you didn't check with us.
You didn't ask me nothing. Like he could have at least asked the plane. They, he could have maybe had a couple more people that were like, "I'm going through it too."
Yeah, but I'll
go. Imagine being on that plane. You just got your shit together. You just fucking zeroed out your loans and all that, and this nigga's like, "I'm a broken man."
Like that,
my boy.
Listen, sir,
my boy. So we make light of it, but like, please go get checked out.
Yeah,
talk to somebody, and not your fucking friends, unless your
who ain't in therapy.
Unless your friend is a clinical therapist. You can vent to your friends, but like at some point you need to go see somebody professional, because your friend that works at Verizon Wireless isn't really equipped.
I'm not qualified
to help you take apart all of your shit. And so please, like, just go. And there's so many resources now. You can find something within your budget. There may even be places that offer it for free. But please go and tend to yourself.
Y'all, they got remote options, apps on your phone. Like you can do it right in the bed now.
That's true.
And another thing I want to say about talking to your friends, because I used to be the person that friends would call and just dump on. When I wasn't even in the place. I wasn't even in a place to receive that. And it's like, I'm already dealing with my shit, and now I got to listen to your shit.
I had a friend once tell me I was their life coach, and I was like, nigga, no, I'm not.
Don't say that.
Because I got my own shit that I'm coaching.
That's it.
So, please don't do that.
Yeah. But we are glad that all 84
oh my God.
made it out, okay. And I'm hoping this man gets his shit together. He did plead not guilty to the 83 counts. He will probably plead insanity, honestly, right? Because he certainly was going through some type of mental health crisis for sure. So, hoping he gets the help that he needs. He'll probably get some institutional time as well for that. But yeah, that's just, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Right.
All right. Last story, y'all. We gotta bring it down to Texas. We got to bring it down.
Travel ban.
The abortion travel ban, y'all. So on Monday, Lubbock, Texas became the 4th and largest county in Texas to have what we are calling an abortion travel ban. And what that pretty much says is you can't use our roads and our streets. You can't pass through this county if you are taking your pregnant ass to another state to get an abortion.
Can you fly through it?
Airways, I don't know. That's a great question.
This shit is so goofy.
That's a great question. You just kind of got to go around the outskirts, maybe. I don't know, maybe there's a dirt. See, the thing is, there probably will end up being some type of road that like just keeps people just safe, right? But yeah, y'all. So pretty much it's saying that you cannot travel through Lubbock to go somewhere else to get an abortion, to, another state to get an abortion. The way that they plan to implement this is via civil lawsuit, where say Nathan sees me on the roads, right? And he was like, I think she's pregnant. I heard she was pregnant.
She got a sign on the back of her car that says abortion or bust. And I'll be like, wait a minute.
I saw it on Instagram that She was pregnant.
Wait a minute.
And he would, find some evidence that I was driving through Lubbock to go to another state to procure an abortion and file a civil lawsuit against me for making a decision.
About you.
Not necessarily even making the decision, but driving through Lubbock after I made that decision to go procure my abortion. Mm-hmm. It's nuts. It's batshit crazy.
It's 100% nuts. I feel like this isn't one of those laws that they think is going to be the big net to catch people who are traveling. They're just looking. This is just like one of those small laws that we're gonna forget about, 5 years from now. This is one of those gotcha laws that, if somebody travels from a non-abortion supporting state to a state that offers those health services, a law like this is going to be the thing where they can catch them at the end and be like, but you drive through Lubbock. You drove through here on the way.
Yeah. So, and you said something earlier that I found funny because it reminded me of a Vice News special where you have like those vigilantes at the border just kind of taking things into their own hands.
Unemployed people.
It was like, we're down here protecting the border because the border control. So it also feels like this is going to be one of those things where like someone in Lubbock, right, a group of probably guys and a few gals, who are unemployed. Certainly,
it'll be guys. Let's be real.
Right. But see, it's always the pick-me's, right? It's always a few pick-me's who are like, my husband.
Well, they're gonna be at the house anyway. They're not gonna be out.
They're not allowed.
They're not allowed.
Because they got a bunch of kids that they couldn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll figure out.
While hubby's out patrolling the streets for
and she's so proud of
pregnant women who are driving.
She's so proud of him.
Yeah, I just don't understand how this will necessarily be implemented, how they're going to catch people, but we know that somebody will. It'll come out somehow. Just like, I don't remember what state it was. I was about to look it up, but that daughter and that mother that they prosecuted.
Yes.
Because they found in her private Facebook messages.
Let me find it now. Yep.
That she took her daughter to get an abortion.
Yep.
They went like this. Was it? I think it was the police. Yeah, and didn't we talk about this the last time I was on about that? It wasn't one of the headlines, but I thought maybe we brought it up
potentially
because I think we did talk about abortion.
Nebraska.
Yep. And so it's going to be one of those laws. It's going to be one of those little laws that nobody, it's not going to register very big on the radar, but it's going to be one of those gotcha laws where it's just. Somebody's gonna get tripped up about it.
Yeah, and I mean, y'all, this is a follow-up to what these folks called these sanctuary county for the unborn ordinances, where it was just like,
what does that even mean?
Yeah, like, don't the language itself is like, it's just a bunch of words together. Like, what are y'all even saying? You got to remember too that in Texas, right after Roe v. Wade was overturned, I believe, they had, that law that like, if you found out that someone was either procuring or aiding a woman in getting an abortion, you could sue them for $10,000. It was like putting bounties on the heads of women and the people who aided them, right? Like say Nathan drives me through Lubbock, right? Now he can be prosecuted as well because he is quote unquote aiding a pregnant Texas woman. The other thing though is the language did say pregnant Texas women. So
did it?
So if I came from Louisiana,
yeah, I guess so.
Am I cool?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Because the language definitely said pregnant Texas women. So I'm like, maybe the jurisdiction. No. Well, maybe, right? It's a state or county law.
I don't, because if you have to adhere to the gun laws of the state that as you pass through it, just because you're out of state doesn't mean that you get to play by the gun laws in your state. So yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting wrinkle. I wonder what. And I have to imagine they had to word it that way because otherwise it would make it unconstitutional.
Right. Because I mean, if I wanted to cover anybody coming through Lubbock, I would just say pregnant persons, right? I wouldn't have even said women.
Yeah, well, no, they don't believe in that anyway. So,
so trans folks,
they don't believe in
you good.
Yeah, they don't believe in that language around birthing persons. They completely scrambles their brain.
Yeah.
But again, all of this shit is just necessary because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. They can't ban abortion nationwide.
Yeah.
All they can do is take it down to say that, hey, you can do whatever you want in your weird little state. And so I feel like this is just going to be one of many weird little laws that they plan on passing to try to force women to carry pregnancies to term.
It's insane. It's insane. So y'all be aware of Lubbock. They may be handing pregnancy tests at the county line.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if there's a roller skating loophole or something. You
can't drive through, but can I skateboard through?
But I got these fucking inline skates.
Yo, that shit would be funny as hell. Just watch a woman, whipping that shit. Just How big is Lubbock? Like, how long would it take to cross Lubbock?
I think it's pretty big.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So she have to be in pretty good shape.
She'd have to be in good shape.
Okay.
So, I don't know, maybe rickshaw. I don't know.
They said drive, so you know what I mean? Like a motorcycle would be a ride.
I don't know how you could traverse the county of Lubbock and not drive, but figure that shit out. Horseback.
That'd be cool.
That'd be dope.
That'd be yeah.
And I feel like they'd be into that shit like that. Like the people that are looking for pregnant women driving through, they wouldn't even they'd be like, yeah, that's a real Texas woman there. She's pregnant. What?
That may be
up.
a business idea, y'all. Like getting pregnant women.
Pregnant horseback rides through Lubbock County.
I'm just saying, like, people like me would come out with snacks and water. It'd be a parade, as you get where you going. Like that.
Oh my God.
If anybody, you heard it here first. That's all I want to say.
Listen,
you heard it
if
here
you
first.
see that shit somewhere, if you see pregnant women on horseback riding through Lubbock, Texas, then somebody need to holler at us about some royalties.
I agree. Like, yeah, all right. But that's what we got for today. I do want to point out that we have a new speaker of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all. This was this nominee number 4, I believe.
Who was it? It was McCarthy.
McCarthy got ousted, and then Scalise got the vote. Then he dropped out because he didn't have enough support.
Mm-hmm. Who was the nigga that got it and then was like, I don't want it?
That was Scalise.
Was
right?
that Scalise?
Yeah, that was Scalise.
Yeah. He got it. They was like, I'm cool.
Then you had Jim Jordan.
Okay, that I couldn't remember the third one.
Yep, you had Jim Jordan, and he couldn't get it. So that's what it was.
Oh, shishy, don't tell nobody looking ass boy.
Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. So it was Jim Jordan and Scalise were the two candidates. They had originally given it to Scalise, and then he dropped out and was like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. So Jim Jordan came and picked up the torch. Okay. Jim Jordan lost it badly. 3 times. Yeah. The first time 20 votes, the second time 22. I can't even remember what the third one was. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, all right, let's go back to the fucking drawing board. Then you had 9 candidates who raised their hands and said,
so what's the name of this dude that got it?
Mike Johnson is the new guy.
And he is an election denier, correct?
What's interesting about him, though, is that Emmer, he's from Minnesota. What's his first name? Emmer, whatever. He was the original nominee yesterday. They dropped him a few hours later because he actually voted like for same-sex marriage. Like he's actually pretty progressive.
No. He can't do that.
Apparently, Trump got on the phone with some House Republicans and was like, nah. And they dropped him.
Trump calling shots from the holding cell?
I'd like my phone.
I'd like my phone call. Gotta tell my troops.
But what's the hand?
Got to tell my troops how to move in these streets.
It's gonna be big,
huge.
So apparently he like mentioned after Emmer was deaded, right? His nomination was deaded. He was like, "Yeah, I killed him off." I just don't think he should be saying shit like that with 91 counts against him.
Really
I just think,
but,
whatever. So then, Mike Johnson pops up on the scene. And by the way, one of the reasons this even happened was because, yes, he is an election denier. He is a stark ally of Trump. But also because, I believe it's a Nebraska representative, asked other House Republicans to take a loyalty oath, saying kind of like the RNC that, hey, regardless of who the nominee is, you will support him so that we can get this shit done.
Yeah.
So obviously all those things coming together worked. Trump had given the okay on Jim Jordan too. Remember that? Trump had given an okay on Jim Jordan.
I forgot Trump is pro
but people were still mad about McCarthy.
pedophilia.
People were still a little upset about the McCarthy situation. So yeah, they got Mike Johnson. It in essence is a radical in the speaker seat at this point, which of course, people like Hakeem Jeffries was warning against. Like, hey, let's not put a crazy up there.
Yeah.
So
basically, we still got that. The House of Representatives is still going to be fucking nuts.
Batshit crazy.
It's still going to be in disarray.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's been 3 weeks and it ain't really been no different than when we had a speaker. So
exactly.
Yeah, they about to go give a bunch of money to, Israel and say no to a bunch of shit that would actually help Americans. It's going to be the same stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I guess congratulations to the House of Representatives on getting their next speaker. Go back to work, guys.
Yep.
And that's what we got. You mad about anything today?
You know what? I thought about it yesterday and I had something. And I can't remember what it was.
I mean, you're having a good day. That's great.
I mean, it could just be that I was so mad about it that I repressed it. And it's just
see
down.
What do we talk about? That man almost took 83 people out.
Listen, man,
because he been holding shit in. You gotta let that out. You gotta let that out.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
Okay, well, text it to us.
Okay,
we'll do it. I'm actually having a great day. I mean, the world is nuts, right? There's a lot to be mad about. But in my personal life, yeah, I'm good.
Well,
I'm actually Gucci.
That's a blessing.
My allergies are a little crazy because Texas is doing what Texas does.
It's in that middle stage.
Yeah.
It gets deathly hot, and then as it cools down, we get that period where pollen is just like P. Diddy in a club.
There was a lot of, when I was walking to the gym today, like I saw like what somebody
saw it in the air.
Somebody
they were waiting outside
like
the
tree
gym
sperm.
for you. Yeah.
Like it was just everywhere. I was like, yo, take me to dinner first before you just try to like, do this to me. This is crazy. So
oh my God.
Yeah, outside of my allergies, everything cool. So I'm about to go get in this bed, take a shower, get the pollen off me, and then get in bed.
There you go.
So, all right, y'all. Well, that's the green route for the week. Thank you, Great Black Century. We don't need to do an interview because y'all know who this man is, and he gonna drop a project soon.
Y'all know what it is. Man, let me shout out this. I'm not being paid by them or nothing.
Yeah.
But this clothing line.
Who this?
Urban Native Wear.
Okay.
It is an indigenous American line out of San Francisco, and I have so many clothes from them. Again, that I bought.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking dope.
I like the bird.
Yeah, and on the back they put shit about being native land on everything, and it really it makes a lot of alabaster people uncomfortable.
I like that,
and that's what I love most about it.
I like that. So what's it called?
Urban Native Era.
Urban Native Era. Okay.
Yes.
Bet we're gonna tag them in this clip.
Yeah, check it out.
I like that. All right. Shout out to Urban Native Era. And if you want to send Great Black Century, swag box.
I'm not even really sure what they could send me because I done bought all their shit already.
Well,
but
y'all got some cool slips that he can put these nimble feet into. That'd be great. But shout out to them. We love to watch, people from historically underrepresented, discriminated against groups get
1000,
there. So
1000%.
we try to drape our things in the things that are made by those people.
Absolutely.
So yeah. All right, y'all. We're gonna get out of here. Shout out to Sour Kids Productions and Kenny, our dear. Yeah, that's all we got. We'll see y'all next week.
Still wouldn't be enough, and they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.